All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this IBM Cloud Kubernetes SIG biweekly meeting today on Wednesday, April 24th. My name is Sahadev Zala. I'm your meeting host today. Before we start meeting, I would like to remind you that please keep in mind this is a public meeting. We are recording it. We'll be making it available on YouTube in the Kubernetes YouTube play channel. So be considerate of what you say. And with that, I guess let's start the meeting. So I have put the agenda link. I think Richard will be sharing his screen soon, but in the agenda, if if you can put your name there, that'll be great. I have a couple names right there, myself and Richard, but if you can add your name, that'll be great, or I'll be adding it later. Now, one more thing before we start the call, we typically ask newcomer to introduce themselves, and today, Bala, it's you who seems to having your first meeting here today. So would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Yeah, my name is Bala Subramanian. I work in Austin, Texas, and I'm with IBM. I am working lately into this Kubernetes, and I am learning and gaining a perspective on Kubernetes. And I saw this URL, and I heard about this meeting. I thought let me join and see what I can benefit from this meeting. That is a short intro about me.
Okay, no, that is perfect, Bala. Welcome again. As you learn more about this special interest group, if you have any questions, feel free to ask us. But hopefully you will learn quite a bit. Usually this meetings has been remained very educational. So thanks again. Hey Nimesh, welcome.
Hey, Sahadev. Hello,
I'm
everyone.
sorry, what was that, Nimesh?
Hello, everyone.
Oh yeah, hi. Sorry, and a little thing with the microphones. Yep. No, we just starting the meeting. Nimesh, we had Bala just introduce himself, and with that, we have a couple interesting topics in the agenda today. Richard will be walking us through the Kubernetes LTS, the long-term support. There was a review link sent on Twitter sometime back, and Richard definitely, thought few things on Kubernetes LTS from IKS standpoint. So that is great. Also, as we mentioned in the past meetings and through other discussions, we have started working on having the IBM Cloud Provider code available on the external GitHub repo. So Richard has created a cap there, and it seems pretty great. Looks really good. So that other thing we want to just go over it, and then I think we still have one more meeting before KubeCon Barcelona, but we just have a couple updates there as well. So with that, Richard, would you like to take it from here? Share your screen, I guess, ideally, if you want to share.
Sure, I can share the screen.
Okay, perfect.
Hopefully that's working for you.
Yep.
Okay, so in the agenda, I linked to an LTS working group post on the CNCF for this survey. So if you haven't taken the survey, I hope it's still available. When I select it, it shows that I've already submitted survey response.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so what they're looking for is, as part of this working group, to understand obviously the challenges of the speed of Kubernetes and what changes they could potentially make in this area based upon the feedback they're receiving through the survey and through other stakeholders. For those not familiar, Kubernetes releases 4 times a year. So usually every quarter there is a release, major or minor. Right now, for the last so often, we've been at the minor updates We're at 1.14 right now is the latest. And then Kubernetes will support at most 3, sometimes 4 releases at any given time. So like when a new one comes out, 1.14 came out recently, they may still put out another patch level of 1.11, for example, right after 1.14. So that would give you 11, 12, 13, and 14. But that is coming to a close, either has or will soon, that being 1.11 support. So you can imagine if you just deploy a cluster and sit there for a year, come back to it and say, what's my next step here on Kubernetes upgrades and this and that, you're already past support and likely past maybe a bunch of security vulnerabilities that have gotten fixed and you don't have those in your cluster. So it's, the project moves fast, and whether or not folks are keeping up, I think you'd find most of them are having a challenge. And from the aspect of our managed service, even though we provide the patches and fix things at the patch level, the actual upgrades through major and minor releases, since they can have incompatible changes at those boundaries, customers have been relatively slow to keep pace, and they're often hanging right on the edge of unsupported. So that's the experience we've seen. As customers have grown more accustomed to the speed of Kubernetes and the relative ease of upgrades, they've kept themselves current. And so it's just a matter of education on that front. Still, there are many people out there that would like to have a long-term support statement from Kubernetes in the sense that, can I stay on like an LTS for a year and then do my upgrades? Whether that be like a sequential set of upgrades to the next LTS version or a single jump, that's yet to be determined. So we find that in IKS, there's always a small percent relatively, that just don't want to upgrade their clusters and they'll stay on an unsupported version. We don't know how critical those are. Most of them are likely just maybe a cluster somebody was playing with, but we do know of cases where customers have just decided to stay where they're at and not do anything else. Right? And we eventually, on our side, as the managed service, we don't support old clusters. And they would be required to migrate their work to a newer version. So anyway, I encourage everyone, if you are an administrator for a Kube cluster, dealing with your applications running on Kubernetes versions, to take the survey and to provide your feedback from your perspective. Anybody have any questions or comments on this?
Sorry, I have a question. Ignore, so apologize for my ignorance about this LTS version. So what is this working group, and what's the definition of LTS, Kubernetes LTS here?
So the definition.
Sorry,
The long term.
can you hear me all right?
I can, yep.
So I understand what LTS means, long-term support, but from a Kubernetes perspective, what does it really mean? Supported by whom?
I don't know. I had a hard time hearing you. Anybody else? Or was it just my end? Having a hard time. It was cutting.
it was cutting for me too, Shishang.
Yeah.
Can you hear us okay, Shishang, or low bandwidth on your side?
Yeah, I can hear you guys fine.
Okay, it was better this time. Yes. So can you
maybe
repeat your question, please? I did put a link in the chat. Meanwhile, while you repeat your questions.
Absolutely. Sorry about that. I have a very poor signal here. I want to understand the definition of Kubernetes long-term support. So in this case, does that mean Kubernetes have its own LTS release? And in this case, what you're talking about is, I assume, is supported by a SaaS provider. Oh, sorry, or a managed service provider, or like a IKS infrastructure service provider.
Yeah, so I think that's what the working group is trying to establish. What does Kubernetes LTS mean, and how would that impact distributions or service providers? I think they don't have an answer to that yet, and that's what they're looking to establish with this working group.
Yeah, I agree. Yep, I think that's the working group is for, right? To find the answer, to
I
define
see.
that LTS, for Kubernetes, right? Depending on the need and whatnot.
Because
I see.
a lot of service providers in particular, they're following Kubernetes service policy in their managed services. So they're only supporting maybe the latest 3 versions, just like Kubernetes is. So we haven't seen significant uptick in any provider or distribution going off and cherry picking fixes back and like keeping, say, Kubernetes 1.8 alive longer than the community has kept it alive, right?
Okay, so then from IBM perspective, I remember at the time when I created a IKS cluster, I only have 3 choices. One's 110.13 or something. Another one is 111.9. There's another release, I think it's 1.12x. So in the context of IBM IKS, these are the 3 versions IBM IKS is going to support, right?
That's correct. So at this particular time, we support 111, 12, and 13. You can create new clusters on any of those 3 versions. 110 we just deprecated, so you can no longer create new clusters on 110, but you can still get support and then do upgrades. Everything prior to 110 is unsupported right now, and then we're preparing 114. So as our cadence goes along, you'll see 114 will come out. We'll drop, well, then deprecate and then make 111 unsupported. So then you will have 112, 13, and 14. And then our default version is 1 less than the current or the latest. So right now our default is 112, and soon it will be 113. So we tend to have that window extended a little bit on the front and the back ends, but generally it's 3 versions at any given time.
Is IBM part of this working group?
That's a great question. And in fact, I don't know who is all part of it right now.
Yep. So I do not think folks are sort of participating there from IBM side. As you can see, it's pretty right. It's only like a couple of 3 6 interested in the working group, but down the road, Shishang, it's always somebody from IBM will definitely be there. Sort of watching it, participating it. Staying on top of the activities, whatnot, right? So right now, as you can see, there are only like a couple of 3 6 interested. And yeah, and that's what I think I would say at this point.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised the cloud provider SIG is not listed there.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So, and with the cloud.
Yeah, in the cloud provider SIG meetings, we have discussed briefly this LTS working group, but we have not gotten into the details of it. I think it's everybody's so busy. I don't know. I'm sure once a proposal comes out, then folks will jump on it, review it, let their opinion known. But I think that's where the survey, I think, will help provide your opinion.
Yeah. Agree.
Yes, thank you so much.
Anything else?
All right, cool. Well, if not on that topic, no other question, then guess we can move to the next topic, which is the cap for out of tree IBM Cloud for support. So Richard has created the cap. It's out there. Richard, I had some comments, some discussions we had. Is that, but take it if you wanna share that as well. Richard, talk about it a little bit more. I would say if you do the view file, Richard, that'll be better to read it. The view file down there. Yep, there you go.
Okay. Right. So the background on the cap is they created some draft versions of these for a bunch of the cloud providers, and I just filled in the details days ago and got that pushed up PR. Basically lays out our plan for the cloud provider. So as you know, the IBM cloud provider is used by our managed service, IKS, and it's behind our firewall, and there's some brief background on why that was. And now we're looking at open sourcing. We have the approval to do so, and we are looking with this KEP to make that happen. And it would involve an upstream repo being created and then taking our IKS code as we have it today, pushing that up there. Right now, the code is based on the KCM architecture, the Kube Controller Manager, and there's some background on that here in the KEP. More information if you want to look into the overall SIG Cloud Controller Manager KEP for some more background on that. But the work we've done internally is to prepare to move to the CCM, which is the Cloud Controller Manager architecture, and you can get the details in this KEP 2008 530. That's the one that has the background and motivation on why this is being done. And this is not just IBM's cloud provider, it's everyone's. I've laid out the goals, and our goals are pretty clear. It's just to move to the new architecture. And we're not planning on re-architecting the cloud provider beyond just moving to the new architecture. And our goal is to get anybody who's deploying Kubernetes clusters on IBM Cloud to use this CCM now, and then having our managed service do the same. Now, I'm not aware of folks deploying Kubernetes clusters on IBM Cloud at any significant scale beyond just using the managed service. And I included some details in here. The details are basically around the things that we haven't done yet with our cloud provider. There's really focused around delivery, building. We have to build a new component, the CCM, and then provide a release mechanism for that and the artifacts. We need to do some more testing and make that testing results available on TestGrid. Now, we do the testing internally on our CI/CD pipeline, and we do the conformance that are outlined in the requirements, but we just need to formalize that and push that to TestGrid to make that available. And then we have some documentation gaps within the code itself that we should put in there according to the KEP of the cloud provider docs. We have those externally in our managed service, but we need to get those put down into the code as well. So relatively good shape. It's just a matter of implementing these items and going from there. The biggest challenge that we're going to find and that we're worried about on the IKS side, and I think a lot of other cloud providers, Google's and others, is that migrating existing clusters from the old architecture to the new architecture. So we're going to rely on the SIG cloud provider. They're going to provide the ability to properly migrate these controller managers from the old to the new architecture. So with that in place, we should be able to seamlessly in an HA architecture migrate between the two. So I think beyond that, for graduation criteria, we're looking at hopefully a beta 1.16 and then GA 17. This, of course, is going to depend on the adoption of the CCM. So that's a brief overview of the KEP. Feel free to read it provide comments. Anything right now that anybody has questions on?
Yep. If you have comments, do put it there on the PR. I did like the target Richard, 116, considering 115, the current release cycle which just started. It's very short. It's like only 6 to 7 weeks. So it's gonna be done I think sometime in June, early June. So 116, that sounds good, right? So it should be a little bit later part of this year. So that's pretty cool, and lots of folks are waiting there, so which is good. People keep asking that question. So yeah. So any questions? Anybody? Yeah. So Richard, since you're sharing the screen, if you can share the agenda again, please. The left that you already have. Yep. There you go.
There it is.
Yeah. So I just wanted to mention those couple other things. We will be doing, if not lot, all available activities, kind of things, participation at the KubeCon Barcelona, which is, it's not even a month now. I can't believe it. It's like, what, 3 weeks or so, and then people will be traveling. So we are one of the few SIGs who have requested and assigned a room or a big round table in a bigger room. I don't have the detail yet, but as part of the contributor summit on the very first day of KubeCon, or you say the day before KubeCon as a co-located event, we will have a room from 11 to 1 p.m. for 3 hours for contributors to meet and work on ongoing things and roadmaps and whatnot. It's more like a face-to-face meeting, which is always helpful. And then there's a link for the cloud IBM Cloud SIG intro and deep dive sessions. It's 80-minute sessions. We have 4 speakers there, and it'll be a good session. I'm hoping we'll have folks interested and join and learn more about the SIG and participate. We also gonna have one more thing there. There'll be 30 minutes kind of meet and greet to SIG for the new contributors. That will be a part of the contributor summit as well. I don't have the detail yet, but we should have it as we get close to the summit. So those are the things just to keep eyes on. The recording will be available at least for the intro and deep dive sessions. So you can, I think, use the same link to find the recording link after the summit and the KubeCon. And I think that's pretty much it. I just wanted to mention, like I said, we will have one more meeting before KubeCon, but if folks are busy preparing travel, if we cancel that, never know. So I just wanted to mention it today. Other than that, I think just open discussion. If anyone has any question. And I just want to add, I know Bala, this is your first meeting. So this SIG, as you can, probably have got an idea by now that we are not about, any commercial discussion or anything around IBM Cloud from the product perspective. This is more about the open source side of it, Kubernetes and, related other projects in that ecosystem, in all the projects under CNCF. So, that's kind of discussion we usually have, around IBM Cloud or IKS, ICP kind of things, but it's all not from the commercial side. It's more on the open source side.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I have one general question. Is it the right time to ask?
Sorry, you have a question? Go for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Kubernetes, I'm trying to learn and doing something, as I said. I'm trying to see what are the best practices around like Kubernetes can access the external file system. irrespective of any solution, any commercial solution. I know the Kubernetes, the pod dies and restarts, and I want to see if there is any external volume or anything in general instead of buying any commercial solution. Any pointers or any inputs? What is the best practice around this Kubernetes and the external file system thing since I joined?
Well, Morgan has something there, but yeah, it's a persistent volume control. You can use those resources provided within Kubernetes to use your own volume. Morgan, correct me if I'm wrong, but the cloud provider typically provides it, right? As it depends. But if you are looking something, on your own, right, you can use the Kubernetes. There's a persistent volume and a persistent volume claim to claim the volume you have out there, and you can use it. But again, like you said, that's more like an as you said, more like a general Kubernetes question, right? So it's there. PV and PVCs, you can use them.
Okay.
Morgan, sure. Morgan, you want to add anything there?
No, that's you had everything. Just that's what you want to look. You want to go down that path because that's going to be something you mount in. It's a volume. It's a thing that you mount into your container when it starts up that you write to and read from that contains persistent data. There's NFS backed ones. I'm sure IBM has a spectrum scale one. I'm sure then there's just generic. The whole point of the PV and PVC is that it abstracts whatever the backing system is away from you having to care about it as a container runner. So, your question is sort of interesting in the fact that it's not something you should really care about for the most part. You should just use whatever's available. Obviously, there's going to be multiple classes in terms of durability and replication and availability among different pods. But if you're looking to just get started, there's always the host mount, but you got to understand that that's tied to that specific host.
Yep.
But it could be a good thing to start just to see that it works. But you got to get used to the container world and how containers work. That's all.
Okay, I'll explore the host map. You said host map, right, to start with?
If you want to just see it work, you can try that.
Okay, I'll explore that. As I said, I'm new and I already had good hands on container world, and I'm trying to understand, in laptop I can mount like an external drive or anything. In container world, how do I mount like a generic questions, and just to play around and see how it behaves.
Yeah, so the laptop thing is going to be kind of misdirected, I would say. I would definitely try to get, I know IBM people have access to the IBM service. So I would definitely try to use that, because even if you're not going to use a managed service, you're going to run your own Kubernetes. Not going to be running on one machine. It's going to be running on a cluster of machines, and you're going to want to have replicated storage in the back end that's provided in this persistent volume abstraction. So,
okay,
that's my opinion.
Feel
free to speak up someone else.
Yep, I agree. And feel free to ask questions, on any of these Slack channels, Paula. There's Slack channels internal to IBM, external to IBM, the Kubernetes Slack channels.
Sure.
For users, for novices, for developers, usually you always get a good advice, good help there, if you're stuck into anything.
Sure, we'll do that. Thank you, guys.
Yep, no problem. All right, that was good. Thanks, Morgan. Any other question?
Just one quick request. Sadiq and Richard, I saw you guys have a presentation in Seattle KubeCon regarding the difference between the CCM and I think KCM and CCM. Is it possible we can have like a PDF so how we can get the material and some internal discussions? By the way, I found the YouTube But like I said, I don't expect that people will go through the YouTube presentations.
Right. So you okay? If I understood, Shashank, you're saying that presentation you would like to have as a PDF version of the deck.
That is correct. Yeah, just some material I can
Well,
read and have some internet discussion with other people.
Yeah, I think I can find it out or help you out there. Would you mind just Slack me the link, the YouTube one you have?
Absolutely.
Right. Just and then I think I should be able to help there.
Okay. All right. Thanks, man.
Hey, no problem. Alrighty. What else? Any other topic? Anything else? And I forgot to mention that one of the SIG lead, Khalid, he is on vacation, so he wasn't able to join today. So he's having fun, which is good. All right. Well, if no other questions, comments, I guess that was a good meeting. Richard, thank you so much for the overviews. That was that was educational, And thanks. Yeah. Alrighty, guys. Then let's have the time back. Nimesh, you have anything? Just throw you out of mute. No.
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm looking forward to meet people and talk to them at KubeCon Barcelona. And Sally, thanks for including me as one of the speakers. So,
Oh no.
Be a good conference. I heard like 10,000 people, around 10,000 people. So looking forward.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. And no, and I'm glad, Nimesh, you are, you are going there, right? So having, we're pleased to have you as a speaker, as one of the most regular SIG member, And yep.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. This is great. Yep, hopefully we'll get to meet a lot of new people, right? And have more folks sort of joining or doing some activities around the SIG. So. Yep. Alrighty. Well, thanks everyone. I'll talk to you in a couple of weeks. And any questions, anything, just bring it up on the Slack. Have a nice rest of the day and talk to you later. All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.